Hey friends, and welcome back to my channel. As I said in my last video, I make most of these videos by request. So I have been working with Silhouette for about 4 years, and I'm also a graphic designer. So I'm just trying to take some of the knowledge that I have acquired about Silhouette and help out those who are new to it or who still don't know all the ins and outs. So this video is going to kind of have a few different requests in it, from unzipping a zip file to changing colors within the file, and going through that process. So the first thing is unzipping a file, because that is step one. When you purchase the file on Etsy or another source, 9 times out of 10 they're going to give it to you in a zip file because there's going to be more than one piece in it, or one file in it. So I'm actually working on a Mac, but if you're on a Windows, I'll help you out as well, no worries. Let me just put a disclaimer out there and say that all of these SVG files on here are actually ones that I have designed and created myself for my Etsy site. So none of these are, copyrighted or have been bought from someone else that I'm not giving credit to. Okay, so if you are on a Windows and you have a zip file, you're going to want to right click and you're going to go down, and there's going to be a button that says extract all. You're going to click on extract all, and it's going to ask you if you want to extract it in the same location it's already in. 9 times out of 10 I do that just because it's a lot easier. So you'll hit yes, and it'll create a new file that looks something like this. Once you've done that, you can delete the zip file and just have this file that has all of your pieces in it. If you're on a Mac, you can do one of two things. You can right click and you can hit open, and that will extract it and create a new one, or you can just simply double click it and that creates a new one. And then whenever you're done, you can just throw those away, or delete or move to trash in Windows. Okay, so the next question that I was asked was that whenever you try and open an SVG, it asks you to choose an application and you can't ever seem to find Silhouette. Okay, the easiest way to do this, now if I double click on my SVG, it's going to open up one of my design programs, because SVG is primarily done in Adobe Illustrator or something comparable. So if you right click, and it's going to ask you what file. So here's one way to do it. If you hit choose application, it's going to bring up your applications. And then if you go down here and hit all applications and scroll down and hit Silhouette Studio and hit open, it's going to open your Silhouette Studio. Now if you hit open with, or whenever it pops up, and you don't hit all applications and it's just the recommended, and you go down to Silhouette, it's going to be grayed out and it's not going to let you click it. So you have to make sure that you hit all applications. If you're not a designer and all of your SVGs are only used for Silhouette, you can click always open with, hit Silhouette, and once you hit open, it's going to recognize that all of your files that end in SVG need to be opened with Silhouette Studio. So that's an easy way to do it too. The best way that I normally do it is I'm just going to open up Silhouette Studio. Everything in this video does not require the business edition, so you are totally okay if you just have the free version. No worries there at all. I'm just going to make this full screen and clear out my recovered documents. Okay, so you just want to go up here to File and Open, and find your SVG that you're looking for, and just hit OK. It's going to open it every single time with no problems. As long as you are in Silhouette Studio and you open that SVG file, it will open up. Okay, so once we have our file open, it's usually just one piece. You're like, dude, I want to cut that in 9 different colors. Okay, I actually have seen quite a few people who will cut an entire design in every single color. Do not waste your precious vinyl because we all know how expensive that stuff is. We can fix it. So what we're going to do is we're going to click anywhere within this graphic, and we are going to do one of two things. You can either hit Command on Mac or Control on Windows. Command Control Shift G, or go up here to these two little boxes that say Ungroup Selected Shapes and hit that. Now that's going to ungroup your pieces. But you still want to break it up even more. You want I to be one color and just to be another color. So let's just click on that and we'll just ungroup it again. Now that's gone even farther, and that has actually ungrouped every individual letter. So if you still want it to remain one color, then you just drag your mouse over, select those, and group that one back together. So now this one's individual and this is one word as well. So then what you're going to do is, let's say with these snowflakes, I think I'm going to turn these a different color. I do this so it does not matter if you change the colors in Silhouette. It's going to cut on whatever vinyl that you put into your cutter. The only reason that you would change colors on your Silhouette, in your studio rather, is just to help you out, just for peace of mind, so that you know what colors you've decided on. You can kind of see how it's all going to look together. So I'm going to take one of these snowflakes. So I've clicked on that snowflake. I'm going to hold down my Shift key and I'm going to click the other snowflake. I'm going to come over here to my color palette and I'm going to make those a light blue. Okay, and then this mitten and the whisk. So I clicked on the mitten, I'm holding down Shift, I'm clicking on my whisk, and I'm going to make those like a metallic silver. So I'll just put a gray placeholder there so I know those are going to be silver. And then I'm going to click on Christmas, and I'm going to change that to green. Let's do a lighter green. And let's just make baked stuff red. Okay, so we got about 4 different colors going on. So now it's time to cut those individual pieces. Okay, you can do a couple of different things. The first thing that you can do, so in all of the updated versions of Silhouette Studio, and I say updated, this has been probably about a year now, but I've used the old version for so long that, I still remember how to do it the old way. So whenever you are sending something to Silhouette, and it's under the heat transfer, when you hit send, it's going to pop up and ask you if you've mirrored it. This is super nice since you don't know how much vinyl was wasted, because back in the day we would forget to mirror. So you're either going to send it mirrored or send it as is. If you send it as is, that means you have already mirrored this image. Now if you go and you are going to make this sticky on adhesive vinyl, you go down here to your vinyl glossy. It's not going to ask you that question when you hit send. It's just going to send it right to the printer, right to the Silhouette. Okay, so I'm going to tell you how I do this. You decide your own way. So the easiest way for me to do this is to go ahead and mirror it myself, and I'll tell you why. So let's go ahead and move this and I'll explain. So I'm just going to take my mouse and run over everything, and I'm going to go ahead and Command G, Control G, and group all that together. And I'm going to move it over here to the side. And then I'm going to go over here. It's still selected. Even if you get out of it, just select it now that you've grouped it together. And we're going to go over here to our Replicate panel. Under Replicate, under Mirror right here, we're going to hit this right arrow. And that's going to mirror it for us. Okay. So now, we're going to go ahead and ungroup it again. We can hit this button up here, or you can do Command Control for Windows, Shift G. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do to make things a little easier on my cutting is I am going to hold down my Shift key while I select all of the pieces that are the same color. And then I'm going to group those together. So then snowflake, Shift, other snowflake, Command G, silver, Shift key, other silver, Command G. Christmas is by itself and baked stuff is by itself. Okay, so now if I select all, if I go up here and I minimize my screen, zoom out, I'm going to put it up here. Actually, let me just move this over a little bit more. That'll be a little easier. I'm going to move it over here. Okay. So if you right click, you can hit Fit to Window, and it will bring your, no matter how far you zoomed out or in, it will bring your map right back up to fit to your screen. Okay, so these are still broken up. So I'm just going to click one of my blue because we've already grouped all these together. Now, you do not want to have to waste a whole piece of vinyl to cut these two little snowflakes. So we're going to ungroup these. We're going to move these up here, like that. Now these have already been mirrored. However, if you have a piece that hadn't been mirrored and you go over here and you go to hit send, let's go back on our HTV, and you go and hit send, whenever you hit send mirrored, it's going to print it on this side. So if you're using scrap pieces and you did not mirror it yourself and you hit send mirrored, it's literally going to take both of these and pull them over here. And that's where they're going to cut. So if you have just a scrap piece just big enough for these two pieces, I would go ahead and mirror it, or just be mindful that it's going to be over here instead. So you need to place the vinyl somewhere different on your mat. Be mindful that whenever you are working with different graphics, keep a copy of the original on your screen. So that way, whenever you're messing with this, you're moving it all around and everything, you have an original version. So you know what colors you want it to go where, and where stuff is placed, and where the center is, and all of that. Just makes life so much easier. Okay, so same thing. So whenever I'm done, keep grabbing that. When I am done cutting a specific color, the easiest thing for me is to move it to the right side. So I know that if it's on the left side, I haven't cut it yet. If it's on the right side, I have. Because if you're like me, I'll get a couple of them cutting before I start weeding. So I just kind of have pieces sitting there and I think, have I cut this yet? What have I done? Okay. So on this particular piece, I mean, honestly, it just kind of depends on how much black you have. Yes, it would be so much easier just to cut all of this in one piece of vinyl, so that way, you know, everything is placed as is. And I may do that for certain situations. If not, I would just ungroup this and just pull this guy up. So that way, you are using, now I would probably, I'm going to undo, I would probably group both of these together. I try and group the lines together if they're the same color. But if you put all these like this, then you've just saved another half a sheet or more of vinyl that you can use for another project. And then like I said, it's already mirrored, so when you go to send, it's mirrored. So that's just kind of a look into that process and how to change those colors. Now remember that you do not have to change the colors in order for them to cut correctly. That's just for you to be able to see your graphic how you wanted it on your shirt or wherever it's going. You can leave everything black, cut it all in different pieces, and it'll all be a different color. So that is kind of from start to finish, at least for the cutting process. So if you have any other requests for any other videos, please drop a comment below. Like I said, this is just me trying to help out, so if there's anything that you need at all, feel free to ask. Alright guys, well, we'll see you in the next video.